It's America's coolest conservative and the future king of talk radio. 107.9 FM WBT presents The TJ Ritchie Show.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. It is the most famous and legendary active radio personality in Charlotte, El Jefe de la Radio. My hustle is high rate, so my haters are irate. 704-570-1079 is the phone number, 704-570-1079. Call it, text it. Thanks to Liberty Buick GMC. I gotta catch my breath for a second. El Hef gotta catch his breath because I just read something so disturbing. And I think it's going to be a big shot, just right in the gut to the conservative movement. We had so much momentum going, and now it's going to come to a complete stop. I promised myself I wasn't going to cry, but this is big. I don't know how we're going to overcome this. But, sorry. Pearl Jam is urging their fans to call senators to oppose the Save America Act. Pearl Jam. Oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Not Pearl Jam. Oh, I mean, the brilliant Pearl Jam? Pearl Jam, who I haven't heard anything about since the Bush administration, Bush 41. They're saying to their fans, call your senators. I swear. I saw the headline and I went, Pearl Jam? Why are they in the news? Did one of their members die? Pearl Jam. Oh, yeah. Those dudes, even in their prime, they would be the type that we should all follow. You know, the regular people should follow a bunch of alternative rock stars from Seattle. Even flow. Everything's like on a pillow made of concrete. Yeah. Jeremy spoke in class today. That Pearl Jam. I'm not going to lie. I liked 3 Pearl Jam songs, the main 3. I liked Even Flow, I liked Alive, and I liked Jeremy. But not enough to, I mean, I never went and bought them. You know what I'm saying? When you hear a song back in the old days as well, you know, especially, I mean, when they didn't have downloading music, if you heard a song on the radio and you really liked it, you went and bought it. Well, I never heard a song from Pearl Jam that I liked enough to go buy. I never was into that alternative. They used to call it alternative rock. I think it's alternative rock is technically a different thing now. But I didn't care much for the Pearl Jam or, you know, the Nirvana had just a couple of songs that I liked. See, because even then, when I was a young man and all of that music just swept the country whenever I first got into radio around 1991. And even then, as a young, wide-eyed radio personality, I knew I didn't like those kind of people. because regardless of what business I was in, because, you know, Top 40 radio is it's dominated by liberals. But I wasn't one. And I knew those. I said, look how dirty these people are. Look how disgusting they are. Take a bath. Coming out here, the band is dressed exactly like the crowd. That's not supposed to happen. The band is supposed to be wearing stuff that's cooler than what the crowd's wearing. It was a dark day in music when these alternative rockers took over. The grunge, you know. But, I mean, there's no disputing in 2026 the political power that Pearl Jam still has. And they obviously have been keeping up with the issues, and they know what's good for the country. Now, here's the thing. I wonder which professional Democrat called Pearl Jam's representatives and said, hey, we really need to get Pearl Jam's star power behind denying this Save America Act, because we really cannot afford to have elections in place or rules in place for the elections where illegal aliens and dead people can't vote for us, because we'll never win another election. You know how they always say that the goal for the Commucrats is to flip Texas, and once they flip Texas, we'll never be able to win the presidential race again? Well, our constant effort to hang on to Texas is what the Democrats are facing now, with their trying to just hang on with every fiber of their being to illegal aliens and dead people voting so they can cheat, because they'll never win another election if that's gone. And that's why they're just so blatant out there making fools of themselves, being hypocrites and not even caring, not even trying to come up with an excuse of why they're acting the way they are. They're just like, we can't worry about public relations right now. We've just got to stop this. We have got to make sure that dead people and illegal aliens and people who aren't even real that are on the voter roll, we got to make sure people can vote 2 or 3 times, or we'll never win an election again in most of these states. So that's why they are in just dire straits right now. They are 911 all in. So much so that somebody said, hey, I've thought of everything. What's left? And then another person said, well, I guess we just need to call Pearl Jam. You know, Pearl Jam will be with us. And once they get their dozens of fans who are still all about them to call their senators, you know, every little bit helps. It's like a telethon. Every dollar helps. So if Pearl Jam can bring us 11 people or 13 people who are still Pearl Jam fans, they can call their senators. That'll help. Every little bit helps. But we have to do our part as conservatives, as normal people, to mock them as we go, which is what I have started here tonight as of right now. Mocking the Pearl Jam. Who's next? Who's coming next? Next thing you know, the wallflowers will be saying, call your senators. Oh, no, not the Goo Goo Dolls. I actually like the Goo Goo Dolls. Well, yeah, I like the Goo Goo Dolls a lot better than Pearl Jam. And I've actually been around the Goo Goo Dolls a few times, interviewing them and doing concerts and stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. They're probably a bunch of libs. But maybe not. They're from Buffalo. They're not from New York City. They're from Buffalo. So maybe maybe we're okay with them. But anyway, Pearl Jam, a force to be reckoned with. Remember that. Okay. There's a lot of stuff going on today, and a lot of ridiculousness, and North Carolina is in the national news in so many ways. So we'll try to cover all of that tonight, and we'll get in on some of it coming up next. Hang on.
It's TJ, the green-eyed patriot, on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 WBT. Delivering pinpoint political and cultural analysis with wit and Southern charm. It's the TJ Ritchie Show on 107.9 FM WBT, Charlotte's FM News Talk.
Thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. I am the big old chunk of sweet white chocolate. Unapologetic in your face conservatism. Oh, we got a brainwashed cult member of the Democrat Party, a crazed, lobotomized by the Democrats person. He sent a text that said, I guess it's a he, I don't know. Any evidence of dead people and illegal aliens voting? Genius. Your daddy Trump lost bunch of court cases. I guess it's Frankenstein. Your daddy Trump lost bunch of court cases. Claiming the same thing. Your daddy, Fox News, paid a lot of money. It's saying the same thing. I don't really know what that means. But, well, I mean, I just say if that's true and illegal aliens and dead people and other people that don't exist aren't showing up to vote, then why are the Democrats so against making people show an ID to vote? Genius. Your daddy, the Democrat Party, then told you a bunch of lies. So, it's obvious to anybody with a brain that works right that the Democrats cheat. And there have been cases of fraud uncovered just this week of people who show people who voted who should not have been voting. And why is it that the most communist of our states, why is it that they refuse to turn over their voting rolls or to cleanse their voting rolls to get people off there who are no longer with us on this earth? And to be honest with you, if you think that it deters me, like I'm one of these must have a burden of proof kind of people to say stuff, then I'm not that guy, because I don't care. I don't care whether I have the proof in my hand or not. If it's common sense, it's common sense. And I know the liberals, and I know the communists, and I know how they run things, and I know that they're all shady. So if you think telling me that there's been no proof of Democrats cheating, on paper, that means nothing to me. See, I have no credibility. That's what's so so freeing about the fact of who I am doing this kind of show. I have no credibility. Remember, I'm just a glorified DJ with a bunch of opinions, and all I'm doing is giving my take on how I see the world. I'm not a news person. I'm not credible. So, what do I care? And you know it's true as well, and that's why you get so upset by it. And I know that you text in here all the time and you say hateful things and you throw around the term genius in a sarcastic manner. I mean, I know. And I'm pretty sure I've blocked you before. But it's all right. I'm not going to do that anymore. Feel free to express yourself as much as you want to me on that text line, driven by Liberty Buick GMC. Because it's liberating to not have any credibility. Why would you get upset at what I say if I have no credibility? If I'm not a real news person, they just stick me on at the end of the day, don't even pay me. Why would you let something a loser such as I am saying upset you so much? I mean, obviously, you're a lot smarter than I am. Don't let me keep touching nerves. I am not worth it. I'm just a radio clown who happens to be right about everything. And you can't stand it. I raff. Ha, 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 ha. In your face. That's what I do. Let's see. Oh, this is pretty cool. It's a breakdown of how conservatives deny people their right to vote. I found this study. And so the person that just wrote the nasty email to me or text to me, you're going to like this because it's how conservatives deny people their vote. 1, they require an ID. 2, you must not vote more than once. 3, you must be alive. And 4, you must be a citizen of the United States. That's how conservatives deny people their right to vote. Denying Democrat voters their rights. Requiring an ID, you must be alive, must not vote more than once, and you must provide proof of citizenship. Conservatives are awful. So awful. Now, I think what's more scary is how the Democrats deny the rights of people who are legal in this country and who are productive members of society. They bring in a dead person's name and have somebody vote for them, for the dead, have the dead person vote for them. Then that cancels out a normal American. Disenfranchises, as they like to say. But I know that Democrats, regular run-of-the-mill Democrats are fine with that. They don't care. Because to be honest with you, again, being a person on the radio with no credibility and no image to have to uphold as a serious commentator, I can tell you right now, if I found out that that somebody did something to suppress a liberal's vote that I'm in line with at the polling place, I'd be like, oh, sorry. Hope you get that figured out. Don't you hate that? Because chances of knowing people in line when you're going to vote, especially if you live in a smaller town, like I live in Mooresville, and I always see people at the voting place that I know, and I hate standing there in line and seeing a liberal. I know that dude's going to cancel my vote. I hate that. Because and look, I'll tell you this quickly. I did this whole big funny thing on the radio years ago where I talked about like seeing a guy that I know is a liberal in line to vote, and I wanted to just go up to him and say, hey, why don't you just agree not to vote and I'll agree not to vote. We can get out of this line and go have a beer because we're just going to cancel each other out. And I'll be damned if in a couple of years, Larry David didn't do the same exact bit on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Now, I'm not saying Larry David stole that from me, but it is awfully coincidental. Wouldn't you say? So while I may not have credibility in this whole formal news talk world, I am very powerful and influential in all media, including HBO, obviously. So there. Bleh. Hang on, more of this brilliant political and cultural observation and analysis coming up next.
TJ, the realist Ritchie, on 107.9 WBT, Charlotte's FM News Talk. Night has fallen, and the Green-Eyed Patriot is on the air. It's the TJ Ritchie Show on Charlotte's FM News Talk, 107.9 FM, WBT.
North Carolina man Otis Henderson was just sentenced to 23 years in prison for his role in a Mexican cartel drug trafficking operation, which trafficked fentanyl and meth into North Carolina. His co-defendant, an illegal from Mexico, would set up the deliveries for him, according to the story here. So that's just one of the stories out of North Carolina that has made national headlines today. 704-570-1079 is the phone number. Y'all are firing it up on the texts tonight. That's good. That's good. Loving it. Loving it. Got a clip of James Tallarico, the little demon that's running for senator in Texas. And when I say demon, I mean a little demon. Looks like a child. Kind of a howdy-doody-ish looking, like Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine kind of look, or anybody, if you're too young to know what those things are, he looks like a little boy, and he's so unassuming, and so mild-mannered and everything, and that's the way the devil does. The devil can make himself look like anything just to get in your world. And this is the devil. He's the devil. Here he is talking to some guy, and just 9 seconds. Listen to what he is saying.
Yeah. No need to sit and cry over, your whiteness or your masculinity.
Right.
Use it.
Yep.
Use it to do something.
Yeah.
Let's be productive.
Okay. No need to sit and cry over your whiteness or masculinity. News for you. Mr. Tallarico, I don't think anybody with eyes and ears would think of the word masculine while you or that other little guy on stage with you are talking. Masculine would probably be the last thing that came to people's minds. What is he even talking about? No need to cry over your whiteness or masculinity. In other words, he's saying don't sit around and just feel nothing but guilt about it. Go confess your guilt and your crime of being masculine and white, and then do something about it. Strip it away and help other people. Help the people who are destroyed by whiteness and masculinity. That's in Texas. You hear me? Texas. So this is the mind of this twisted little freak. And I mean, he looks like and acts like a much, much wimpy, slimy little version of Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg could be one of the Expendables compared to this little fella. And he's obsessed, obsessed with getting as many abortions done as possible. He's obsessed with all of the communist things. Abortions, transing the children, playing the race card all the time against masculinity, because if you and that's part of that whole toxic masculinity thing, and that's why so many young guys now who aren't gay act it. They act gay, but they're not. It's because it's been pounded into them that being masculine is a bad thing, because they hate the fact, they know this to be true, and they hate it, that countries like ours were built on and thrive on strong, masculine, male leadership. And obviously, to a communist like Tallarico, who wants to tear the country down, that is a big target. So what do? You try to get, if you can't get as many masculine guys to not be masculine as you want, then you can, the ultimate taking away of masculinity is to have as many men and young men change into women or want to change into women. And how many masculine men do you think get aborted every year? What would have turned out to be masculine men? So you see, they don't want masculine men. That's the enemy to them. And them, the left, the lunatics. But it's true. When you'll be somewhere and you'll have a nice encounter with a young man, college age or something, and then you're left wondering, not that it matters, but wondering if he's gay or not. And chances are, the big chance is that he's not gay. But if he's been told his whole life that girls don't want masculine men, that masculinity is toxic, then he's going to, if he's not homosexual, he's going to do what he can do to adapt to what he's been told girls like. Only to be hit with the reality that no matter how much girls are told you shouldn't like masculine men, and no matter how much they may, date this non-masculine guy and this effeminate guy and that sensitive guy and that all of this, when it comes down to it, they will go back to wanting a masculine guy. Exhibit A, Exhibit 1, Exhibit top of the list, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift dated all those artists, all those artistic types, flamboyant heterosexuals and all that. But then when she got to a certain age and she's ready to settle down, ready to start having babies, she's ready to get married, what does she do? She goes and finds her a big, strong, tough, strapping future Hall of Fame NFL player. Boom. And she's also the queen of American liberalism. And she got her a strong man. She got her a rough and tumble like Bryant Gumbel man. Travis. Named Travis. Hey, what's your name? Travis. That's my name. Got her a big, tall, broad, hairy man. And then her body of work and her writing goes into detail about how she can't wait to have this big, strong, strapping, masculine man's children. I want to have as many babies that look like you as possible. I want to have as many babies that are just like you. So that's why you have these communists like Tallarico coming along and still trying to demonize masculinity. And it's working for, you know, certain type of people, the voting bloc. But you know who it didn't work on? Taylor Swift. She got her a man. He's a man. Going to retire from the NFL and just go put up fence on a ranch somewhere. Not even using a ditch witch to dig the hole for the posts. He just like get in there with a tablespoon and 2 tablespoons and make his own post hole diggers out of it. Putting up fence, barbed wire, no shirt. Urgh. That's Taylor's man. She going to be in the house. He comes in from being out on the farm, on the ranch. She going to have him homemade biscuits cooked. Hell yeah. He'd say, woman, come brush my hair. She'll do it. He got something on his mind. He's not going to tell her about it because that's not what men do. But then when she gets sassy, he'll pull out that Dwight Yoakam line from Sling Blade and he'll say, hey, you know you ain't supposed to talk to me like that when I'm hurting. Taylor will be, I'm sorry, baby, I'm sorry. Say hi to your babies. They're about to go to bed. Say good night. He'll be like, bye, Junior. I'll see you tomorrow. Now, where's my whiskey? Because I want to drink a glass of whiskey and then eat the glass before I go to bed. Little woman. Okay. I'm just saying that's human nature. That's what that is. Hang on, we got more coming up.
The TJ Ritchie Show is on. More next on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 WPT. Hear him on the radio and podcasts. Watch him on YouTube. Like and subscribe to all social media platforms at tjritchie.com and WBT.com. Now back to TJ Ritchie on 107.9 FM WBT, Charlotte's FM News Talk.
The realest in the business. Unapologetic, in-your-face conservatism from the green-eyed patriot, America's coolest conservative. Here is a brilliant quote. Listen carefully. The real motives of liberals have nothing to do with the welfare of other people. Instead, they have 2 related goals: to establish themselves as morally and intellectually superior to the rather distasteful population of common people, and to gather as much power as possible to tell those distasteful common people how they must live their lives. That is from Dr. Thomas Sowell. And it is so true. All right, 704-570-1079. That is the phone number. Call it, text it, please. It would be great. It would be absolutely great. Let's see. There was something that was very important, and then I went back and read that quote. Now I can't find it on my list here. What I was going to talk about. There have been so many cases of child abuse that have just been outed, and I mean child sexual abuse and all. Even one case is too much. And I firmly believe that if you harm a child, then you should be executed. That should be your sentence. Executed. Especially if it's in a sexual nature. you should be quickly executed. This is fellow named Andrew Brown, an illegal alien from Jamaica who volunteered as a teacher and youth minister in Ohio, has been sentenced to 13 years in prison after he was caught with more than 40,000 files related to child pornography. So an illegal alien who is a teacher and youth minister. It's crazy. Absolutely nuts. Democrats in Minnesota in their House have blocked debate on a bill which would require illegal aliens to be reported to ICE after committing violent crimes. So, did you get that part? It was up for a vote as to whether illegal aliens should be reported to ICE after they've committed violent crimes, and the Democrats in Minnesota said no. How do you explain that? I mean, really? That's what I was saying earlier, is that they're not even, they're not even worried about how it looks anymore or trying to figure out a way to make it to where it doesn't look like they're doing what they're doing. They're just so desperate to make sure that, because they worked hard to get all these illegal aliens into the country. I mean, during the Biden administration, they worked really hard to flood this country with illegal aliens and people who are out to do this country harm. And they're not about to let that work go, to waste. Even when it's put in front of them as plainly as that, say, would you vote for a bill that would require law enforcement or the courts to report illegal aliens to ICE if that illegal alien has committed a violent crime? And they said no. Isn't that crazy? Nuts. And then, we're supposed to be, according to them, we're the cruel ones. We're the ones who, doesn't care about people. And when they fight so hard to make sure that even rotten, no good, violent criminals stay in this country when they could be sent back to their countries, it's so important for the Democrat Party as an organization to have every single illegal alien possible in the United States so they can use them for political power. They don't care if, a young woman who may even be in another quote unquote marginalized group. They don't care if she's attacked. They don't care if she's murdered. They don't care about children being harmed. They don't care about any of it. And they prove it with stuff like this. That's how you know that they are hell-bent on cheating in elections, because they feel that their power is about to be, like, any chance of their power coming back and them and they're ruling things again is almost on the brink. And this is the most important issue with them right now, even as much as they try to tear down society in these other ways, like I've been talking about with transgenderism and, stripping away masculinity and breaking up the family unit and all those things. This is number one to them right now. This is all hands on deck. We have to stop the apprehension and deportation of illegal aliens by any means necessary. Now, you want to argue with that? Fine. But I'm not hearing it. I am not hearing it because they're proving it every day that that's what they're interested in. No shame. No fluff, no dodging, just straightforward. We want these illegal aliens in the country to help us politically, even if they are a menace to vulnerable people and citizens of the United States. We don't care. That's the Democrat Party, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on, hour 2 coming up.
He's America's coolest conservative and the future king of talk radio. 107.9 FM WBT presents The TJ Ritchie Show.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, here we are, hour 2. With the green-eyed patriot, America's coolest conservative. All up on it. Up on it. Get up on it. All right, some, as the kids call it, some tea. We're going to spill some tea. That's what the kids say. Got some gossip for you here. There is a classically trained, talented actress. And when I say a classically trained actress, that means she's an adult sex person, an on-camera prostitute. Now, her name is Bonnie Blue. And Bonnie Blue is going viral after claiming that she's testing over 400 men to figure out who got her pregnant following her widely reported stunt. Now, Bonnie Blue is famous on the internet for doing things like trying to set a record for making the relations with the most number of men in the shortest amount of time. Like men would line up, you know, looking like the lines at TSA right now at the airport, just lined up, showed up, signing waivers and you know, putting in a day. So she says she's testing over 400 men to find out which one of them got her pregnant. And then this situation has sparked intense reactions online, with many questioning both the approach and whether the entire story is real. And then there is another follow-up on the story, actually, that says that the whole thing was made up. I believe it was in the New York Post. That she wasn't even pregnant. She's out wearing a fake, what the kids call baby bump, just pretending like she's pregnant. Now, here's the way you would look at it, or the way I look at it. All right, as nasty and disgusting as that is, to, you know, make that your livelihood, doing stunts on camera and making the relations with 400 men in a day. How bad is your life's situation if you work for that person? You know, saying, you know, people from her camp, meaning people who are on her staff, who work for her, are saying these things to the media. And you see, according to the left, we're not supposed to judge this sort of thing. We're not supposed to denounce this kind of stuff. We're not supposed to call this trashy because they have deemed it to be kink shaming, which means you can't you can't make any kind of negative remark about anything that anybody does, because the left is going to come up with a way to say that you are shaming them. And that is just unacceptable in today's times. It doesn't matter what. I mean, if they have a group of psychologists and all who have created the term, the organization called, or a group of mentally unstable people called minor attracted individuals, meaning people who are sexually attracted to children, and they call them minor. They're not pedophiles. No. These are just minor attracted individuals. Okay. And then they'll always have the difference. The difference is that a pedophile acts upon his deviant desires. A minor attracted person is just sexually attracted to children, but hasn't acted upon it, has never been, sexual with a child. Oh, okay. So the left is in a constant, motion to change the language. Because, when I say the left, I mean where the Democrats are now in communist world. Because you can't criticize anybody, because if you do, then what you're saying is wrong, and then therefore they may stop what they're doing, and the Commucrats want them to keep doing it, the destructive behavior. So this woman makes her living by posting videos of herself and all on the OnlyFans and sites like that. She gets all the publicity and everything by saying, all right, I'm going to be in such and such town, and that's where I'm doing my next stunt, quote unquote. And then you got to think of, okay, so there she is, making the relations. And I know they have it's not a full, like you say, how could they even do that in a day, get that many people? Because I think it just has to count as far as the bare minimum of sexual intercourse has to happen to consider it. I'm trying not to be too vulgar with this, but for it to be considered as a sexual experience or sexual act, for the record, it has to at least have that bare intercourse. Okay. So there she is, just having them line up to do that. So that's pathetic and sad on her part. But then you look at, let's say you're one of the guys and you're in, like, say, you're number 307, just standing in line all day, and that's what you're there for. I tend to think that that's a bigger loser than what she actually is. Because at least she's getting money out of it, or fame, or whatever she seeks. If you're just some loser guy and you're standing in line behind a bunch of other nasty guys waiting your turn and probably going to be bragging about it, then I think you're worse than she is on a trashy scale. But just so you know, now that I'm an official news person working for a well-respected news organization such as WBT, I'm going to keep a sharp eye on this situation and keep you up to date with any breaking news, if anything changes in this case. Because that's the kind of news that gets you through the day right there. More so than any weather report or traffic report or anything. You need to know what online prostitutes are doing in their lives. And you're welcome. Hang on, more coming up.
The realest your radio has ever been. TJ Ritchie is on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 WPT. Welcome back to the TJ Ritchie Show on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 FM WPT.
Old, white, and gifted, I am America's coolest conservative. Remember, don't just speak about it, be about it. A Kentucky teacher who wished for Trump to be assassinated has been placed on leave without pay. She has already scrubbed she's already been scrubbed from their website. And you go and look at her picture in this story. It's that typical, what I call, the typical public school teacher look today. No makeup, raggedy clothes, unprofessional looking. Again, I think our education system took a huge nosedive when they started allowing teachers to wear jeans to school. Because it went downhill from there. Jeans, now leggings, now ratty t-shirts, onesie t-shirts with Tweety Bird and Taz on the front of them. No makeup, hair all a mess, rat's nest. Ugh. Not very professional. 704-570-1079 is the number. Call it, text it. Thanks to Liberty Buick GMC. Love that. Now, Chrissy Cuomo, the toughest, baddest man in all of the world. Just ask him. This is from his show, and I guess he takes calls on his show. And this was a police officer that was calling to correct him. And the police officer was saying, hey, I've been in the middle of it, and I know the difference between right-wing protests and left-wing protests and which one is more violent. Check it out.
Con, what's your question?
Chris, I just had a follow-up to last night. You seemed miffed by one of your guests saying that Biden arced up the temperature, and I agree with you that he personally didn't do it, but I was a police officer for 26 years, and I've never seen violence in any right-wing protest as bad as I've seen in the left. And all the way up to George Floyd, it's been horrible. Like when you hear that, let's say the Proud Boys are coming to town, we're like, okay, we got to walk for a long time. You hear J Block or Antifa's coming, and you're in for it. And I've never seen violence and things done to police officers as nasty and as vile as from the left.
I don't disagree with what you're saying because you lived it, not me. And I've certainly seen horrible things in protests that I've been standing in and covering. I'm not disputing that. But again, my problem wasn't with that. It was just leaving out the other half. How can you leave out MAGA and the demagoguery of what this president has been about in a conversation about how things have gotten to where they are? I mean, to me, it's like, that's like cognitive dissonance.
Oh, shut up.
These statements, there's no doubt about it, but it doesn't seem to enrage people the way it does on the left. So whatever Trump's doing, it really agitates the people on the left, but it doesn't agitate the people in the middle or the far right enough to do what the left is doing. I think that's where the disconnect is in the way people are thinking. Maybe. You're looking at one side and saying, yeah, and some of the things he says I don't agree with and they're cringy, but it doesn't cause people to come to the streets.
Yeah. Just say, hey, Chrissy Cuomo, give me an example of so-called right-wing protesters being violent the way Antifa, Black Lives Matter, all of these lunatic leftist communist groups. Give me one example of when they were, when we've had violent protests on the right that are akin to the ones on the left. And of course, he would say January 6th. All right. Again, January 6th was not an insurrection. The Democrats called it that and the media ran with it. And I still believe, and there is evidence out there that shows that left-wing plants created that chaos And let's just say, for sake of argument, that all of those people that were storming the Capitol on January 6th were just traditional down the line conservatives. Who did they kill? Who did they injure? Nobody. The Democrats had to go make up stories about the protesters killing cops during that riot. Never was true. A cop died later after that from a heart attack. And they blamed that on they killed a cop. The only person killed, remember, was a veteran named Ashley Babbitt, who was unarmed, climbing through a window, and a member of the Capitol Police shot her. And if the situation were reversed and the same thing happened, and it was a bunch of liberals protesting, and one of them was climbing through the window of the Capitol and got shot by a Capitol Police officer, oh, can you imagine what the news would have been about that? But anybody who says that they're equivalent to each other, that they're the same, there's just as much violence on the right as there is on the left, they're full of it. Because for one reason, no matter how extreme the protest or the march or whatever is that's considered to be on the right, it's always more civilized than anything that the left does in that nature. Because conservatives are more civilized than liberals. That's a fact. Now, what I think Chrissy Cuomo is trying to say here is that Trump is responsible for all the violence. Trump is responsible for the violence that happens on the left because of the way he stirs up the rhetoric and gets them all up in arms the way he does. That's Trump's fault. So therefore, that's MAGA being responsible for violence. You know, it's kind of like the domestic abuser husband that beats up his wife and says, you know, gets all upset and says, look what you made me do. That's the mentality of Trump causing the violence that happens on the left. Look what you made us do. You made us go burn down this city. You made us go run over ICE agents. You made us do this. Look what you made us do. Meanwhile, if there's a huge gathering of conservatives, it's usually peaceful, and they even pick up their trash before they leave. And the evidence is right in front of your face. So, little, tough guy. What are you, a tough guy? Chrissy Cuomo is not being honest. Tell him I said it. All right, hang on. More coming up.
It's the TJ Ritchie Show on 107.9 WBT, Charlotte's FM News Talk. Delivering pinpoint political and cultural analysis with wit and Southern charm. It's the TJ Ritchie Show on 107.9 FM WBT, Charlotte's FM News Talk.
Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it a lot. Oregon High School principal Jerry Williams, who was on leave for celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination, sentenced to over 5 years in prison for possession of child pornography. Don't forget about that story. That's out there. There's also a man pretending to be a woman. Soris Emery is his name, is trying to raise money to quote-unquote escape Florida because he's a teacher and can't push LGBTQ propaganda anymore. But no, they're not grooming our children. No, don't you dare say that. I better not hear you say that. Way off base. All right, 704-570-1079. That is the phone number. And look, I believe in celebrating our heroes. Y'all know that. And I want to shine a spotlight on this hero that I found today in the news. It's a trans woman who's going viral online after sharing that she's continuing to work while in week 37 of a simulated pregnancy. A personal experience, she says, helps ease the dysphoria of not being able to physically carry a child. Oh. And I take back what I said so many times about the quote-unquote trans community seeking attention. And a lot of their mental illness is driven by lack of attention and adoration and accolades. I take that back. Now, let's not forget, a trans woman is a man pretending to be a woman. So this man pretending to be a woman, according to him, is in week 37 of his pregnancy. He explained that the simulation is part of his, they wrote it as her, but I'm reading it the right way. So if I stumble, it means I'm having to change it on the fly. It's no problem because I'm a professional. I can do it. I can do it. He explained that the simulation is part of his emotional and psychological journey, helping him connect with motherhood in a way that feels meaningful to him. Supporters online have praised his openness and dedication, while the story has also sparked wider conversations about gender identity, empathy, and personal coping methods. The moment is fueling debate, but also encouraging discussion about how different people navigate identity and mental well-being. Individuals use personal experiences and symbolic practices to cope with gender dysphoria, showing how conversations around identity and mental health continue to evolve in public spaces. Okay. Now, this goes back to something that I'm sure if you listen every night, you're sick of hearing me talk about, and that is pandering. This person has a mental illness. And instead of caring enough about this person to get him the help that he needs, everybody caters to him and panders to him. And he shows up at work. There's a picture of him here behind his desk. He shows up at work pretending to be a woman and pretending to be pregnant. And everybody else at work has to go along with this charade. And I guarantee you, the workplace has said, you will be reprimanded and possibly dismissed if you don't use the proper pronouns, if you act like you don't believe in some way that he's actually pregnant, if you do anything to cast a negative net onto his delusion, you'll be fired. It's against company policy. But it's part of the mental illness is obviously a dangerous narcissism, a case of narcissism. It's all about me. It's my dream. It's my delusion. This is what I want the world to be, even though it's not reality. And you better go along with it. You better pay attention to me. This is my truth. This is my life. I am a woman and I am pregnant. Now, I realize what I just said could be taken out of context by Lonnie or some other producer and played to incriminate me on the radio when I'm not paying attention. They could easily isolate my saying, I am a woman and I am pregnant. I get that. And the reason I know that could happen is because I would do it if it were somebody else saying it. But regardless, think of the people who work with this man and what their work situation has to be like. To have to try to be productive in an office while playing pretend. All because he has this delusion or fetish or whatever it is. Just depends on how deeply rooted the mental illness is, where it is. Because, I mean, it could go in different directions, you know. It could be, you know, not that you're just looking for attention or you don't feel like you were ever accepted one way or the other. So this is making people accept you, making people pay attention to you. Or if it's just a fetish where you are actually sexually stimulated by dressing up as a woman and pretending to be pregnant and then making other people treat you like a woman. You know, there is that aspect of it. And being an amateur psychologist, I know these things. An unlicensed, uneducated psychologist, I know all about it. I'm an expert. I absolutely am. Now, I know haters gonna hate. Because nobody likes a smarty pants. But if you know, you know. If you know, you know. So in debating the Save America Act today, the Democrats really showed who they are, what they're about, and so did a couple of Republicans. But Markwayne Mullins was before the Senate today for his confirmation hearing to be the new head of Homeland Security. And Rand Paul had a personal hang-up with him because evidently they had beef. They don't like each other as being senators together. And evidently, Markwayne Mullins said that he understood why that guy would want to beat up, you know, when Rand Paul got beat up by his neighbor. And Rand Paul's holding on to that. So they went back and forth. And he said, you haven't apologized. You haven't this, you haven't that. And he said, well, I tried to move past it with you, and you've acted like a child, basically, is what he was saying. And he goes, well, I haven't heard you apologize, or you say you regret. He goes, I don't regret commenting about your character, which is what I was doing. So Rand Paul, I will never vote for, he's not the right person. He'll never get my vote for Secretary of Homeland Security. So right there, that's another case of I got a personal issue with you because you said a mean thing about me, and I'm not going to vote for you in this delicate situation of the country needing a leader of Homeland Security. And it's also going to stick it to Trump. And I hate that because I have been around Senator Rand Paul, and he's a nice, charming guy in person. But he's also one of those like Tom Tillis. You know, I'll take my ball and go home, and I don't care whether it hurts the country or not. And I don't like that. If Ted Cruz can put aside his differences with Trump and work with him for what is best for the country and the conservative movement, anybody should be able to. Because during the primary, when Trump was running the first time against Cruz, Trump and Steve Bannon ran with this story with their buddy from the National Enquirer that I think it was saying that Ted Cruz's dad was an assassin or something. I think it's part of Castro's regime. Something like that wasn't true. But Ted Cruz is a true patriot and a conservative and can say, all right, well, let's put that in the past because we got to move on and do what's best for the country. Others aren't mature enough to do that. And I guess Rand Paul is one of them. And I know, it appears all evidence points to Tom Tillis not being one of those either, which is another shame because he was nice to me the couple of times that I've been around him. But then again, you can't go by that. You got to go by what's best for the country. And I don't think either one of them in the moment are doing what's best for the country. And that's it. And as most serious political commentators would say, I'm going to say right now, too bad, so sad. That's the way it is. All right. Last segment coming up. Hang on.
TJ Ritchie on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 FM WPT. 11 listeners strong and holding. It's the TJ Ritchie Show on 107.9 FM Charlotte's FM News Talk WPT.
The most famous and legendary active radio personality in Charlotte. I am the realest in the business. And I have very, very sad news. I am not going to be on the radio tomorrow night. I am being rudely disappeared for Carolina basketball. I know. It's bad business. Still got time to get a comment in here if you want before the end of the show, 704-570-1079. But since I'm not going to be on tomorrow night, this would be the perfect opportunity for you to go listen to my other show on the podcast version of it. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but I have two jobs. I do a syndicated morning show still, being one of the most well-respected morning show personalities in the history of radio. You can go ahead and pull the music out, Lon. I still do that in the mornings with my partner Riggins. It's called the TJ and Riggins Show. And you can go listen to the podcast version of that. It gets put up every day after it airs all across the United States. You can find that at tjritchie.com or tjriggins.com. It's on the YouTubes. It's on Spotify, all those places. So since I'm not on tomorrow night, well, that's if you're not a Carolina fan. If you're a Carolina fan and you can't be looking at TV, you're obviously going to be listening to WBT. But if you're a Duke fan like Lonnie Ray, or, if you like State or any of the other teams and you don't care about Carolina basketball, then you can go listen to that podcast and see what my other show, in case I've never mentioned it, I have two shows. You can go hear what that sounds like. Be the perfect opportunity for you. But then again, it's always a perfect opportunity to do that. All right, so I had this clip of this woman. I wanted to play it last night, but it got away. And I'm hoping that more and more of this is coming across the country. She is suing school for grooming her kid. Yep. Listen.
to file a lawsuit in the state of Colorado for a secret gender transition of my child. May of 2021, we send our daughter off to 6th grade. She's just turned 12. One day her art teacher asked her to stay after school for an art club in the art room. And when she got there, it was actually GSA, or Gender and Sexuality Awareness Club. Concepts that I wouldn't have consented to as a parent, that harmed her trust in her parents. I mean, they heavily emphasized, you don't have to tell your parents might not support you. If they don't affirm you, they don't love you, but we love you.
I'm gonna start a GSA. And maybe a GSA isn't the right term we use right now, and I hate to say it, but maybe shifting that to affinity group. Have fun with those. They have resources that help you go through some of those processes of creating those groups, but also how to create more gender-inclusive schools as well.
The teacher had brought in these outside presenters, an organization called Splash for kids 12 and up and Skittles for kids 2 to 11 to talk about gender and sex. On their website has 40 different names that you could potentially call it. Friends of Dorothy is one of them. Like all these really inconspicuous names that can be easily concealed to parents. And I actually found slide presentations from what they do in these GSAs, and the number one rule is what you hear in here, keep in here. So right off the bat, they tell these kids, don't tell anyone what happens in this room.
Do not out your students to their parents. We live in a heterosexist environment.
This one was designed by transgender individuals, so that's why this one is really, if you're going to use one when you have conversations, this is the one you should be using.
So I don't know who all is named in this lawsuit, but I hope it's every school board member. I hope it's every organization. I hope it's every teacher who participated in this. I hope it is everybody, and I hope they're firing a lawsuit through the middle of that school like a rocket. Now, people, believe it or not, will sometimes tell me that I'm a little extreme in my beliefs. I know, right? Crazy. But the public school system was established to take over people's lives from their families. And this is really playing out in its most highly visible way now. In the most extreme way, it's playing out. Now, you don't believe me? Google the pillars of communism. Go Google that. And one of the things that is considered in that as the pillars of communism is the establishment of a government-controlled education system. I swear. Because they want the government to be in charge of people's lives. And the best way you do that is by getting them when they are young, before they have formed their own beliefs and principles. So you can't tell me in a situation like this that all they're doing is trying to look out for the students who are confused or who may think that they are homosexual or transgender. They're not just looking out for them and protecting them. They are trying to change them. They are trying to force them into these groups. Why? Because then the confusion sets in. And like they said, they demonize the parents. And boom, you got them. And who has been in charge of our public/government education system for years and years and years, in complete control of it? That's right. The Commucrat Party. So you see, that's another thing the left has done over the years to silence opposition, is that they have promoted this idea that calling them communists is extreme, and you're obviously off your rocker. Where you can't just call people communists, and we're not communists, and blah blah blah. But they are. They absolutely are. They stand on the pillars of communism when they do stuff like that. And I hope lawsuits just get fired off like the missiles going into Iran through these schools. Like, hey man, like damn Oprah, you go, you get a lawsuit, and you get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit, everybody gets a lawsuit. It's despicable. Despicable. And if those people don't change their ways, they are just absolutely headed for that lake of fire someday. Taking advantage of children like that. To me, they're no worse than, they're no better than your typical child abusers. If they're doing that to children at school, secretly behind the parents' back, trying to transition them. They need to go to penitentiary as well as pay civil damages. All right, Nick Craig's coming up next. God loves you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. See you Friday.